we go!
Bar Fantasy Football! We got the podcast going! Bar Fantasy Football! Bar Fantasy Football!
All the information flowing!
Bar Fantasy Football!
We got BTR, Commish, Rifle, and Huey. Soaring no lineup B.
WT!
Sotie Pantloads and our current champs.
The Moppers!
It's Bar Fantasy Football! If you love this game, you will sure love
Bar Fantasy Football!
Good luck to all!
And here we go, Bar Fantasy Football Podcast, Season 6, Episode 9. I'm the Commish. I'm joined down here in the Bar Fantasy Football Podcast dungeon by the greatest co-host in the business and owner of Born to Run, Walt here. Walt, how are you tonight?
I'm doing great. Happy to be here.
All right. If someone that's watching can weigh in about the visual, because our screens are all screwed up, but we are going to continue to soldier on. Well, we've got a great week. We had some victorious feelings among our owners, and then we had some, like yourself, and I guess we'll talk about it, that suffered the agony of defeat, as they would say.
Yes. Hey, we had the worst team ever, finally had a good week.
A breakthrough.
But like you said, where there's good, there's bad for some of us. So yeah, we'll get into it.
All right, joining us on the line is the owner of Sotie Pantloads. Kyle's on the line. Kyle, how are you?
Doing well, Commish, BTR. Visual looks good. Checking
Nice.
in from the feed, but yep, everything looks good. We're on air.
Perfect. We're going to talk about Week 9 action, preview Week 10. We're going to talk about all things fantasy football through the lens of our league, BARFF. The chat is open for anyone watching. Phone lines are open for the owners. Walt, where do you want to start with Week 9?
Since Sotie joined us, let's talk about the free fall that's going on at the Pantloads HQ.
All right, what he's talking about is Soaring Eagles taking on Sotie Pantloads. Soaring picks up their fourth straight win with a 132.35 to 90.75 victory over Sotie Pantloads. Walt, tell me the story of this game.
I think the story is Javonte Williams did nothing, but it's Odunze with the goose egg, Patriots D with a goose egg. This time of year, you can't have goose eggs in your lineup.
Correct. Romo Dunes, Kyle, I'm not looking to rub any salt in anything, but Romo Dunes ends up playing the game. That's the first thing that I checked.
That's the worst part.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
He played the game. His team put up 47 points, and he gives you a 0. Kyle, tell us a little bit about the pain that you suffered.
I mean, I won't dance around it. Sunday, I feel like a crazy person walking circles, just basically repeating what you guys said, being like, how can a team put up 47 and their supposed number one wide receiver get a big fat 0? But he's been a little shaky the past couple weeks, and I still don't know if Caleb Williams is even good. So he is finding himself on the bench this week, for sure.
Yeah, that's really tough when you've got a situation like that where, you're counting on this guy. This guy's he is their number one on a team that has DJ Moore. I think that Romo Dunes has taken that spot, and a 0
against the worst defense.
Right.
In fact, I think I heard historically they could be the worst defense in the history of the NFL.
It's mind-boggling.
It is mind-boggling.
It's one thing if I play the game, Walt, because I'm a schmo. I could get 0 points. This is a first-round draft pick. They're relying on him, and he lets everybody down. Before we go any further, joining us on the line, the owner of No Lineup Needed, Christian's on the line. Christian, how are you tonight?
I'm doing great, boys. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Thanks, Chris.
Absolutely. We are talking about the first game, Soaring Eagles and Sotie Pantloads. Walt, I cut you off a little bit. Did you have any more insight on Sotie and Soaring?
Well, I do want to remark, Sotie said, he felt like a crazy man. I think he's selling himself short. I actually think he might be there already. So, I just want to say that. Yeah.
All my guys just started to start stinking at the same time.
I know.
Everyone go crazy.
I hear you. So let's talk about
the QB getting more receptions and yards than the wide receiver.
I think you can sense something here.
I
might have to call the MPs over to someone's house in Pensacola. I'm a little concerned. Their welfare. So, no, talk about the free fall, though. 2 weeks in a row where you haven't broke 100, right?
I got a big 108 against you.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. But, this is power outage.
Yeah, it's certainly been I mean, it's funny because like the week before that, I think I put up like 180. So I used up all my points that week. I was against Christian, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I put up like 140 that week.
Yeah, so lucky him. And the next 2 weeks, like I said, I used all my points. But I think this week I finally get Garrett Wilson back. Bucky is, I mean, who knows what's going on with Bucky?
True,
the guy gets hurt, scores a 72-yard TD, and then misses 5 weeks. Like, I don't understand what's going on there.
Bucky Irving didn't practice today.
No, they said the ankle.
No practice.
He's not playing.
But like I said, Garrett Wilson, my matchups last week were awful. Like I told JJ before the week, I was like, my team just looks like it's putting up 80. Like the matchups were all versus like top defenses. There was guys playing each other, which I never liked. So I think this week we get back on track. Though we'll get to that, but just a couple power outages, no big deal.
All right, I like it.
With that loss, Sotie Pantloads moves to 5-4. Soaring Eagles picks up their 4th straight, going to 6-3. Christian, when you saw Soaring Eagles and Sotie Pantloads, anything stand out to you?
Not. I mean, teams near the top of the leaderboard. I guess. I don't know if you talked about Jahmyr Gibbs getting like 6 points.
Again,
that's
another
kind of frightening.
Yeah, that's
alarming. And
DJ
Metcalf, I think, is actually more concerning in a game where obviously the defense dominated, but that dude got no looks. And so, though Soaring Eagles got the W, I do feel a little wishy-washy when he has some harder matchups there.
Yeah, if I had done an insults and injuries on Monday, if I had been able to put that together, it was a busy weekend for Kamish. But I tell you that those players would have been right up there. Roma Dunze right at the top. And then, there was definitely some players. Jahmyr Gibbs let everybody down. It's like CMC a couple weeks ago. It's not a good situation. But
yeah, that one I think's the outlier. But I think Metcalf, I think, Christian, you're on to something there.
Yeah, I agree. So where do you want to go next, Walt?
Well, let's talk about my game.
All right.
So typically I would be more upset about this, but deep down with the way the schedule was and everything, I actually didn't think I had that much of a chance of winning in the first place. And I still felt that way until somehow somebody woke up Brock Bowers and actually
he sure did wake up.
44 points.
He sure did wake up.
I mean, I just couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
And, so as it turns out, I'm like, okay, wow. Now coming into Monday night, I'm like, yeah, I got a legitimate shot because, the fact that Taylor only got 7.7, like that I couldn't believe that. That was, unheard of. So, going in saying Monday night, I'm like, okay, I actually got a shot. And then I don't know what I was thinking because when you got Bam Knight as one of your backs in your lineup. I mean, aren't you really kidding yourself thinking that you got a shot? And I got, Pickens is Pickens. I mean, he did all right, but, I'm a Cowboy fan. I know how that offense can be.
Yeah.
Dak starts hot. He's maybe validating why I got rid of him, maybe 5 weeks too early. But, this is a typical Dallas, that the offense starts hot and then they have that, a little low. And I don't know what's going to happen with them. They're just not a good team either.
Yeah, this was Huey Lewis in the news, moving to a perfect 9-0, 146.2 over Born to Run, 139.2. Born to Run had a chance on Monday night. Christian, did you think he was pulling off the comeback? He was favored heading into Monday night, Born to Run, to take the upset over Huey.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was thinking he would, but I guess Arizona is really like the biggest black box. Like I think DeMarcado has that fumble that looks like it should end his career, or that drop near the end zone that should end his career on a team. Like you don't do that,
right?
Then the dude is now seemingly the starter after Bam Knight gets 1 yard per carry.
Yeah, Bam Knight gets the start, and Emmy DeMarcado does the work.
Yeah, and Bam, how many times did he have a chance at the goal line? I mean, so again, it was hard to get mad. The opportunities were there, and it's yeah. So I agree, Christian. I know what's going on.
Yeah, I cut you off, Christian.
Well,
keep going.
I have just a question for Walt here. I know I don't know if we talked about the trade that happened, but when I was messaging you, I was like, I don't trust T. Higgins without Joe Flacco. Did you keep him out even though Joe Flacco was active out of the fear for his arm? Because I do feel like I kind of influenced you could technically lose this week because T. Higgins had that huge blow-up game.
Well, technically you did because you traded me guys that I decided I was going to start. So I got to tell you, yes, indirectly you did cost me. No, it really was. I've hated the idea of having, Chase Brown and Higgins in the lineup every week together. Yep. So I'm like, okay, and then of course I got lulled into looking at the projections, and McMillan and Higgins. McMillan had a slightly higher projection. There was doubt about Flacco. I'm like, hey, this might be a good time to break it up.
Right.
The one that hurts the most, though, is I actually was so close to putting Stafford in for Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
I was, because I not, although Danny Dimes has been leading my team, I don't have a huge faith factor in him.
Yep.
And this was the week I like. Stafford's been on a roll, but I'm like, you got to stick with your guy, right?
Right.
And and he didn't have a bad week.
Sure.
But Stafford would have put me over the top.
Yeah, Stafford.
So that's the
Higgins.
one that hurt actually more.
Yep. On the bright side, I like how you brought that up tactfully. The Bam Knight supplier that Christian didn't do this week. That was pretty good. Brock Bowers.
He hope my check's in the mail.
It's funny when you trade with Born to Run. The trades usually amount to nothing for either team. They usually, it's like, I don't know what to say.
But Brock Bowers leads fantasy football in scoring, so that's got to be a good feeling.
Yeah, no, and that's, I think I'm going to be fine if that's the guy I'm going to get for the rest of the way in.
Yeah, absolutely. Kyle, when you looked at this game, Huey Lewis and Born to Run, I asked Christian, Born to Run looked like they were going to pull off the Monday night upset. Did you think that was going to happen?
Honestly, no. I feel like ESPN gave Born to Run a very high chance when it was like Bam Night.
Yeah.
And I mean, Brandon Aubrey, they had him projected, I think, kind of high. Like, he's only had double digits, I think, 3 times this year. Like, he's really only had, 2 good weeks. But the rest have been, 5 and 6 points. And then Pickens, with CD back, I feel like he's not really the same. But, man, I texted about it. It was just hard to watch Bam Knight, run for 1 yard, get hit, fall down. It was just, nails on a chalkboard. So I think BTR knew it was over after he saw DeMarcado coming for the first time.
I knew that when I'd see him ripping off 10-yard gains. I'm like, okay, and again, I really didn't think I was going to win with the buys and everything. So I mean, my best player was on the bench, and the fact that I got to 139 with Barkley,
that's an impressive week.
I was not upset.
Yeah, that's a pretty good week. All right, where are we going next?
Let's talk about big win for JSN. Worst team ever. I don't know why I was looking at JSN. Worst team ever.
Worst team ever takes on the Springfield Rifle and comes up with a victory, 137.45, and a strong performance over the Springfield Rifle, who put up 93.65 points. Tough week for the Rifle. They fall to 1-8, but worst team ever picks up that second win to move to 2-7. Walt, tell me about this game.
So you have to admit, if you look at worst teams ever team, and he's not on the line, so that's the only reason why I'll say positive things about it. I might have to keep quiet if that's worst team ever.
And joining us on the line because his ears were burning, owner of Worst Team Ever, Tyler's on the line. Ty, how are you?
How we doing, gentlemen?
Good.
Doing good. We've got Sotie Pantloads and no lineup needed also on the line, and Walt is about to go into your games, picking up the second win with a big win over the Rifle. Walt, keep going.
Yeah, so I think if you look at the team in general, worst team ever at 2-7, that's a tough record because the lineup is pretty solid. He's got CeeDee Lamb, he's got Drake London. Those are 2 of the better receivers in the league.
Yeah.
Warren's been doing well, Kyron Williams. So I'm not surprised worst team ever beat the Rifle. The Rifle's really struggling. They're in a death spiral.
Right.
I think the basement's where the Rifle is going to end up being, unless something else happens to worst team ever. But, it was a good week. Worst team ever. I think, the lineup is kind of showing the potential I think it always had. And now the quarterback decision's easy because Daniels is gone. You just stick Caleb Williams in there.
Yeah, I love how they say Jaden Daniels dislocated his elbow. We'll see if we're going to get him back this season. I think probably no.
No,
unless there's some dramatic return for the playoffs or something.
Yeah. Why would you? I think their season's lost, so why would you do that?
It's gross. Kyle, Springfield Rifle on a 4-game losing streak. Do you agree with Walt with 5 weeks left in the season. 1 win. Is there any chance for the Rifle right now?
Yeah, he's pooched. I think it's just tough to find any positives being 1-8. I don't want to say too much because I'm playing him this week. But like I said, once again, we'll get to that. But Keishan Booty has 0. He's trying the two TE spread out here. That's something Coach Guy would deploy on the Granby Eagles. So I think it's Rifle perennial contender, but this year is just one of those years, not a year.
Yeah, it's we all have those years. Clearly, a prideful owner doesn't want to be in that basement, but the reality sets in. I've been there so many times. It's just a lost year. Christian, Jordan Love, 11.75 points. Concern for that Packers offense?
Yes, they just lost to the Carolina Panthers. Right. Also, I just feel like he is a good quarterback, but he doesn't get a ton of points ever. I feel like he was like a Matt Stafford in Detroit, or like one of those guys that's like consistently a good player, but not a great fantasy guy. Especially, and it kind of hurts, I think, the Rifle also because he has Josh Jacobs. So if he does really well, Jordan Love probably doesn't.
Yeah.
One question for Ty, because he's on the line.
All right.
Blake Corum got like 13 carries in that game. Does that worry you about Kyron? Because I think there's like 2 games now that Blake Corum has over 10 carries.
Nah, not at all. He's still putting up points. That's all right. Keeping them fresh. Worst team ever's got to go on a run here, so let's keep my guy fresh so we can get me some more points.
All right, good question. Yeah, Ty's got the confidence.
I mean, he's 2-7. What does he got to worry about? Like, you don't got a lot of worries.
He's namaste.
Yeah, right. I mean, when you're on the brink of being eliminated from the playoffs, you got nothing to lose. You shoot from the hips. Of course, he's not worried.
Exactly.
All right. Ty, anything about this week that we haven't discussed that stuck out to you about your game?
I mean, this is where worst team ever's going on a run right here. I mean, we got to finish it all together.
Hey,
doing the math.
It's been
we
done.
We went out. Hey, we're right there. Right there.
It starts here.
It's been done.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A lot of positives with this team. I mean, 2 of my losses came when I put up like 138 points. So, the team, it's a good roster. I won't say which owner, but one that's, never too much of a fan of worst team ever. Shot me a text week. He goes, Ty, how are you? 1-7. Same question. I don't know. I don't know what I got to do to get some wins on the board. Other than, I guess, just dig down and let's see what we can put together here.
I promise you it was not Sotie. I can see how he was 2-7.
Yeah, well, that's a given.
I love it. All right. I will say for the Rifle, my condolences insofar as that Jordan Love and Keishan Boutte are 2 players that I have talked up on recent waiver Wednesdays and in the Sunday morning show. And so, all I got to do is a player name fall out of my mouth, and clearly I've tainted them.
I know that feeling.
Yeah, it's a BARFF Fantasy Football podcast special right
there. No doubt. No doubt.
Where you want to go next?
Well, I mean, I think we got to talk about no lineup and a very convincing win against the Beans.
This was a win that no lineup really wanted after facing some tough circumstances over the last couple of weeks, but they come up with a big win, 140.7 over 113.7 by the Beans. Both teams now sitting at 4-5. Walt, tell me about this game.
Yeah, it's tough loss for the Beans. They were having a good week. Kraft goes out early, so that's he was done. So that's tough. Only getting 4 from him. But, and Chubb, too, same thing, only at 3.4. You take those 2 guys out. He had a really solid week, but Christian rolled. McCaffrey was on fire. It's nice to have Lamar Jackson, I'm sure, back in your lineup. And, Rashid Rice, solid. McConkey, a little down. Olave, but Gianti, 20, and Rice. So, really good week for Christian. A little bit of a down week for the Beans. But, overall, you take those 2 out, or Allen too, but he still had a decent week. I mean, 113 is not a horrible week.
It's not bad. You want to be above 100, but 140 is where you want to be. Christian, tell me about your game this week. A win that you did not want to be 3-6 coming onto the show tonight. 4-5, you're right in the pack. Tell me about your game.
Yeah, no, I'm very happy with the outcome. I was kind of scared because it went from, I remember like the end of the Bears game, I was up by like a ton, and I was like, wow, this is in the bag. And then Joe Flacco puts up like 2 TDs and like 150 yards in 2 minutes. And I was like, oh shit, like not another one of these. But I know I'm pretty confident in my team. Obviously, I made a trade that I'm feeling even better about of my team going forward. So let's just see. I think I have a pretty fire lineup, and I've been, not to play the victim card. I feel like I'm more of a victim of the way the schedule shook out than my team ever really putting up a dud.
Yeah. Your strong performances, and we were talking in weeks past about if you want to beat no lineup, you got to come with the big points, and you've been seeing big points scored against you. So I will say, Coos 30 on the chat has weighed in with my team stinks.
Oh.
Capital stinks. Yep. We feel your pain. This was a tough loss for Beans. They didn't want to be 4-5. They wanted to be 5-4, but this is what happens.
Wouldn't be a barf season unless the Bean said his team stunk. So
I'm not going to think. I don't believe that that's the first time we've seen the sentiment this season.
yeah.
Kyle, when you look at no lineup needed in the Beans, what stood out to you? These teams are both 4-5. Which one do you see climbing the ladder of these two?
Definitely Christian. I mean, getting Ibuka, like I said, he was, almost a Sotie about 17 different times this season. So it hurts seeing him go elsewhere. But, I mean, with Christian's team, actually, I'll ask Christian a question. Did you want Olave to get moved at the deadline, or were you cool with him, having balls thrown to him by Spencer Rattler?
So I've been fine with him staying, and I'm happy that Shaheed moved. I don't think, even though the Saints got rolled, I don't even think their new quarterback, I don't even know what his name is, looked that bad. It's like he's a volume player. And to be honest, going forward now, he's my guy on the bench. McConkey, though he's low, I think he's much more solidified. And Ibuka, once Ibuka and Rice are back after this week with Rice and Labai, I think them and McConkey will be my wide receivers going forward. So fine with it. I mean, it would have been cool to see him go to like the patch where he'd be at number one, but that's like a fever dream at this point.
Nice.
I forgot Shaheed got traded. Yeah,
That's good for Olave for sure. Tyler, same question. 2 4-5 teams, no lineup needed in the Beans. Do either one of those stand out to you as one that you believe will be climbing the ladder more than the other? We might have lost Ty. All right, we're gonna move on. We got one game left.
Yeah.
There we go. Yep.
There he's back. All right, weigh in on no lineup needed in the Beans.
Yeah, no, because I was going to say no lineup, but he did trade with Born to Run, and those trades never work out for anyone. I mean, look at Brian Thomas on my bench and the other players that we traded there. So something's bound to happen with one of those guys.
Yeah, we'll get into the trade in a little bit more depth, although we're hitting it pretty good after we get done with Week 9. It was an interesting trade. I think that it's going to have some repercussions and ramifications down the road for sure. All right, last game that we got to cover.
We got to talk about this team. The Whopper Moppers.
The Knuckleheads take out Whopper Moppers 119-112. This is the 5th straight loss for the once 4-0 Whopper Moppers, falling to 4-5. Walt, how did this happen?
It's just every week it seems like it's somebody different for the Moppers. Somehow Patrick Mahomes, who usually lights up the Bills, it laid a stinker, 13 points. Cook gets hurt. He still got 14, which isn't horrible, but it definitely. They limited his carries when he tweaked that angle, and when he was in there, he was really effective.
Right.
And then Vidal, I don't know what's going on there. And it's just the scoring's not there. 112 points, which you'll take.
Yeah.
Because outside of Darnold and Pittman and St. Brown, the scoring was a little weak everywhere else, right?
Yeah.
So and I loved Tyrone Tracy. He's getting his shot. Scadaboo's getting 30, and he somehow gets 6. I
Yeah.
don't know. You know,
Yeah.
it doesn't bode well for him, I think.
It didn't look good.
No.
No. I just gotta hope, while O'Marion Hampton continues to heal, I gotta hope that at the same time Bucky Irving continues to be hurt. I am just keeping the running back game patched with backups.
Right, exactly.
But that's gonna fall apart pretty soon.
I don't know. I'm starting to think White now is not. I'm worried Bucky's going to really play.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like he's close. I don't hear.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, he didn't practice on Thursday.
Exactly.
It doesn't look terrific. I don't know that we weren't going to see him this week. Maybe next week. Christian, what did you think about this game? Knuckleheads and the Whopper Moppers. Anything surprising?
I mean, Whopper Moppers, they just can't catch a break at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because they had like Manungai, who looked great in his time without DeAndre Swift, so he had another great pickup, but 5 straight losses is tough.
Yeah.
And
it's
I don't think, he's in the muck with everyone else too, which makes it tough because now it's looking at like points for, and
right.
He's been having some games that are not exactly high scoring. So
yeah,
I'm not in an enviable position there.
Yeah, I would agree. I will also point out that Kyle Meningai is a player that I disparaged on one of the waiver shows. And so his 23.8 points is reflective of what happens on these airwaves.
Just listen to the show and then pick up the guys.
Do the opposite.
100%.
Kyle, tell me about Whopper Moppers and Knuckleheads. Anything stand out?
I mean, not to rub it in even more on the Whoppers, but when you start 4-0, you're already thinking playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's all be realistic. You're like, what could go wrong to make me miss playoffs this year? And then you rattle off 5 losses in a row. Like, you probably feel helpless.
Yeah.
I mean, Puka's had like some injury issues. He put up a good week anyways. But it is good that he's got Manungai, kind of solves a running back issue. So maybe he'll turn around. But I think a big one for him is Chuba Hubbard. He's now it looks like they're fully in on Rico Dowdle. So he's got some RB issues for sure. So I don't know if it's going to get better for Tom anytime soon.
I would ride Rico Dowdle until he starts the wheels fall off. Why would you not?
I think you have to, right?
Yeah.
But when I was looking at him, I'm just looking at the scores. Now, he had that really high score against the Moppers, the 145 against the Beans. But if you go back from that, I mean, we are talking like 80, then we got another 86, and then week 6, we got another 80. Like, that is not. He was so far ahead in points for.
He was.
And now, like, he is coming back to the back. So
it has not been good.
It's like a free fall going on with the Moppers.
Yeah. And this week, all that they need is for Patrick Mahomes to play a decent football game.
Yeah.
And they win because it's not that I did anything special. Last week, I got the cheapest victory of the season last week. And this week, 119 points. Right. I get a win out of it, which most times you don't. So it's just bad luck all the way around for Whopper Moppers. Ty, I'm going to throw to you. Everyone's brought up a good point. 4-0, you're thinking you're a lock. Does Whopper Moppers, as we sit here heading into Week 10, do they make the playoffs with 4 wins and 5 games left?
I mean, this week I'm dubbing it one of the biggest matchups in BARFF this season. It's worst team ever versus Whopper Moppers, 2 guys who desperately need a win. If I beat Tom this week, I don't see a chance of Tom making the playoffs.
Tyler's all over it, and I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but I feel the same way. Moppers loses, the worst team ever. I don't think they're making the playoffs.
6 straight losses is so hard to overcome in a fantasy football season,
and you can't even believe it. Like Kyle said, like, I never believed that I could have a 5. You're like, no way. It's impossible. Something's going to go my way.
Right.
And it hasn't.
Yeah,
their matchup this week is like a Thursday night Titans-Dolphins color rush matchup. These 2 guys.
I love it.
NFL is doing all they can to fucking get viewership for that.
All right, so that's Week 9 in the books. We're well past the turn. We're deep. 5 weeks left in the regular season. We say 7 games is usually the stick. We got a big lot of teams with 4 wins. Before we go into standings, let's take a little look at recent activities. And since I've got Born to Run and no lineup here, let's talk about that trade that went on. Just get it called up here. So what we talked about Bam Knight, and he was a really integral part of this trade. I got to go back. But I will say the surprising part for me is that the number one tight end at the time in fantasy football changed hands. Walt, tell me about what went into that part of the trade.
You know, having the number one tight end on your bench, where he's going to be with Bowers, to me, if you get something at this point, you trade him. And that's the way I looked at it. Because if Bowers is healthy, I don't care. Bowers is in my lineup. So a guy like that doesn't do you any good sitting on the bench. And, you know, I had 0 running backs available. I was going to have to pick the waiver wire. And as bad as Bam Knight was, the waiver wire was like putrid.
It's bad.
So
It's bad.
honestly, and then I wanted the ability to diversify from Higgins and Chase. So adding another wide receiver, I think McMillan can be good if you pick the right matchup on any given day. Although, you know, that could lead to some bad mistakes by my part on my lineup. But anyway, that's kind of was my rationale. And Christian was really hurting for a tight end, so I think it made sense for him.
Yeah, Christian, this was Bam Knight, Ted McMillan, and George Pickens going to Born to Run. Born to Run giving you Luke McCaffrey, who's now injured, Jake Ferguson, and Emeka Egbuka. Tell me what your thought process was before you pulled the trigger on this one.
Okay, so I'd actually been pinging Born to Run since like week 4 about trying to get JSN, Brock Bowers, or Saquon off his team. Like every week, a different combination of players to try to get them. I think I almost got JSN one week, which then obviously went out the window because the dude's like the best receiver in football. And I do need a tight end. Like that's like probably the one thing. And I had a bunch of wide receivers sitting on the bench that would start on other teams. And he needed a running back, which I somehow had Bam Knight. I don't even remember picking him up. And I think Ibuka, my mind is, you know, an upgrade from Pickens. As much as I think they're around the same, he's a number one. He doesn't have competition. He also has a great quarterback. And so I was kind of like, okay, like I'll take a guy that I'll sit on the bench for his bye week and, you know, and shell out. I think I probably quote unquote overpaid, maybe. I don't know. It depends on the outlook. And then Jake Ferguson, I need the tight end. Like even with CD coming back, the dude that can put up 10, 15, 20 points on a good day in the tight end position is still very valuable. I think
especially
there's
this year.
Brock Bowers, Trey McBride, and no one else.
Right.
That is actually a stable high teens point getter at that position. So to me, it was a no-brainer, and Luke McCaffrey went right to waivers when it went through.
Yeah, you beat me to it because if he was on my team, that's where he was going. So yeah, and then he broke his collarbone. So,
Yes, yeah.
On top of it.
Yeah, Egbuka is intriguing to me because also not practicing Chris Godwin. Mike Evans clearly out with a collarbone injury.
And that was part of my decision as well because he's really, you know, teams kind of take him out of the equation. You're not taking Pickens out of the equation now because you got Lamb and Ferguson.
Right.
So, you know, he's going to have his opportunity. So I agree, though. I thought it was a wash.
Yeah.
I'm like, to me, you know, I'm just trading one guy for the other. To me, they're close to the same. That'll remains to be seen, though, because I didn't like that Pickens didn't get a lot of looks later. Early he was.
Right.
Later he wasn't.
Right.
So, yeah, that was a little concerning.
Kyle or Ty, anything on this trade? Anything to add? All right. Let's jump in. We want to do a new segment. Really excited about this one. This one is Born to Run is going to choose each team's ride or die player, and we're going to get a little bit up on the screen here as we call this Born to Run's Ride or
Yes, it's
Die.
born to run's ride or die. Ride or
All right, it's Born to Run's Ride or Die. Well, let me know which team you want to start with.
Yeah, so let me set this up. This is, when I was looking at it, I was thinking, okay, we're close to the playoffs. And right now, you know, every lineup decision, it can make the difference between a win or a loss. So I said, okay, it's time to think about the players that you ride or die to get into the playoffs. So that's the context to think about this. when I talk about these players. And then these aren't going to be the obvious ones. I kind of went through and I picked these guys that, I feel the owners are going to have to think about whether you're riding them to the playoffs or you're like saying, nope, this is not my guy. He's done.
All right.
So let's start. I can go in any order?
Any order you want.
Okay. So, I had to do it. No lineup needed. Springfield Rifle, they're probably died already, dead on arrival. But I did pick someone for them.
All right.
Let's see. Let me get my notes here. The Rifle. Deebo Samuel is the guy I came up with.
Deebo Samuel, the roller coaster, as I like to call him.
Well, and that's why he's our ride or die here, right? So he's averaging 13.5 points. That's his, and if you look at him, he's ranked 25th position-wise. But let's face it, that's not your number one receiver. So, for a guy that's either your number 2 or number 3, that's really not that bad. And, ranking overall for a receiver.
Yep.
So, he's had 5 games, and in the last 5, 2 of them he averaged 21 points, which is amazing.
Yep.
And then the last 2, though, were under 10 points. And I would say, going back to the Sins, the trend is not good. He's going down.
Right.
Now Daniels is hurt. Mariota's going to step in. If the Rifle still had a chance to make the playoffs, I would say, though, for me, Deebo, he dies. He's not my ride. I don't think if you ride him, you're not going to the playoffs.
Okay.
Your thoughts?
Yeah, I have difficulty trusting Deebo Samuel. Because, as I said, I call him the roller coaster. It's really difficult to trust him week in and week out, and so that to me, that whenever you have a player that has that much uncertainty and that much volatility, right, that worries me.
Yep. And again, the trends point to that. The last couple of weeks have not been great, and and again with Mariota, that's tough.
Yep.
Because he's not a passer. That guy still got legs. I'll give him that.
Yes.
But
yes.
All right. Let's keep going in order. Worst team ever is Tyler, you still on the phone? No, he dropped. Okay.
He's having trouble with his phone, so it's hard to tell.
So the one for him is Jaylen Warren. Now,
Jaylen Warren.
Yeah. So I think he's been a pleasant surprise. I personally didn't think he was going to stay as the starter. I thought, maybe he would lose his job over the season. He's staved off Gainwell. So, Warren's been a solid guy for him. But, again,
All right, Tyler's back with us. Ty, we're talking about Born to Run's ride or die players for each team, and he's discussing who he's chosen for you, Jaylen Warren. Well, keep going.
Yeah, so 2 games, double digits, 120 against the worst defense in the league. So, and then, 17 last week against Indy. And then, a couple of 2 games against what not I would call the greatest defenses where he was under 10 points. Mm-hmm. But when I thought about this, Jaylen Warren, so you do have to, I feel, in this scenario, you got to consider the team they're on as well. So Tyler, has Kyron Williams. You got to look at Warren as your number 2. Is anybody upset with a number 2 on a bad week getting 8-9 points?
Right.
No.
You shouldn't be.
I would take it.
Right.
So to me, the worst team ever rides Jaylen Warren into the playoffs.
Nice. Jaylen Warren, worst team ever's ride or die. Who's next?
All right. So let's see. I got to get my standings back up, working from the bottom. Oh, me. It says 5th, but technically I think I'm an 8th.
All right, we're looking at...
mine is the guy we talk about, it seems like, every single year. T. Higgins.
T. Higgins.
Right? I mean, he's the 15th ranked receiver in fantasy. He is having, since Joe Flacco's been around, his games have been, every game's been double digits. Now, I think the interesting part, last week he blew up against against Chicago, and he had a nice game against Pitt, but everything else has been around 11 points.
Right.
And, for a guy you'd say that's ranked where I said he was, which is, again, number 15, 11 points. So I look at that and say, is this the guy that you can really, really trust? I don't know. He has that injury. He's always any snap you think T. Higgins might go out, be injured. So, but again, I had to look at this and look at the team that he's on, my team, and I'd say, compared to what I have, 15th ranked. I hate to say it, I gotta ride him.
Yeah.
He's my ride guy.
Coming off a 34-point game, he's doing all he can for you.
Exactly.
He's trying.
And Flacco's, been really good. So, yep. All right.
Where are we going next?
All right, let's see
Love
here.
this. It's good.
Oh man, I'm all over the road here. Bear with me. I gotta get back in stand. Who's next in standings? Is it Beans?
Probably Beans.
Yes. So let's go to Beans. And this is a guy we've talked about a lot as well. It's AJ Brown, right?
AJ Brown.
And I'm telling you, I feel for the Beans. Like, he's got to be one of the most frustrating guys in the world, is having him on your roster. So again, if you look at the game log in the last few games, last two been really good, 29-14. Then he had clunkers of 2.7, 9.3, then 23 in there. So, I look at that and say, let's look at his rank, right? So what is he ranked? The 38th ranked.
That is not why you drafted
Right?
AJ Brown.
Not why you drafted AJ Brown.
Yep.
And then his quarterback is Jalen Hurts for the Beans. I looked at this and I take the same strategy in my mind as I would with investing. Diversify.
Right.
And I just say, I don't know how you can ride AJ Brown. So for me, he's die. He's not my ride into the playoffs.
He's a die.
What
AJ
do you think?
Brown. I like, we've been up and down with AJ Brown. It seems like every time that as is typical, it's the theme of the show tonight. Every time I say something bad about AJ Brown, he's going to go put up 22 points.
Yeah.
But it's the same Debo Samuel argument that I have. You can't trust it week to week, especially this time of year.
Yeah, exactly. And then, like I said, every lineup decision could be the difference between a win or loss at this point.
Wins
in
are
the season.
huge right
Yep,
now. Wins
exactly.
are huge.
So let's go to the Moppers, and we have another AJ Brown-like guy. It's Nico Collins.
Nico Collins. Yep.
A guy where he was drafted, 36th ranked at that position.
Yeesh.
Nobody expected that, right?
No. Nico Collins was a really trendy pick, high pick for drafts this year. His ADP was definitely top 3 rounds for Nico Collins, and the production just has not supported that much like AJ Brown.
Yeah, and he's even worse. He's had only one game with 20 points, and the injuries. He's had the concussion, so I don't know if you can reliably trust him that he's going to play a whole game. The other part when I was looking at this, other than last week where he had 7 receptions, of course the yardage was only 75 yards. So the yards per catch is really low there, and then he had 8 on that 24. But other than that, it's been 4 and 3. So to me, and maybe that's part of the reason the Moppers is where they are. But I gotta say, well, in my notes I said in the real world, not being on the Moppers team, he's a die. But I don't know. I think the Moppers maybe have to call him their ride because, when you look at the rest of the receivers on that team, you got Puka, which is great. And, he's starting Troy Franklin. He's got Harrison Jr., maybe we're seeing a revival there with Brissett. I mean, Myers, maybe now that he's got traded.
Yeah, I think he'll be fired up.
Yeah. So, I think he's die. But again, if Mopper says that's his ride guy, then I totally get that.
We did switch up Whopper Moppers and Beans in the standings.
Yes.
Next up is
no lineup
needed.
Yeah. So let's look at. It's got to be Genty. He's another guy can be very frustrating. He's 13th ranked at his position, and for no lineup. I mean, that's your number 2 guy, and, who wouldn't love having the 13th ranked running back at that position? But let's look a little deeper. He had 19 points, but then against good competition, KC, he had only 4.4, Tennessee 16, Indy, and then, of course, Chicago, which they got to be the second worst defense next to Cincinnati. I mean,
I know.
But the troubling part about him is there's Denver tonight, and they have Denver again. I have the Chargers as well. There's a nice matchup against Dallas, but then you have Philly. So, that's where I think it gets a little dicey for no lineup, and now that Bowers is there, tough schedule. But I think overall, because Bowers is there, I'm going to say is a plus, not a minus.
Take some pressure off of
Takes
him.
pressure off. I moved him to ride. I had him initially die, but now I'm moving him to ride.
He's a ride. Christian, what do you think about that? Ashton Janty, the first 3 weeks, he was 12-7-6, and wasn't generating a whole lot of positive energy. But he's picked it back up since then. Is this the player that you're going to have to ride to the end? Is he going to be able to get you there?
So yeah, and I agree with Walt on the fact that his matchup, the Raiders' schedule is their team sucks and it's so hard. Like they have some of the hardest defenses in the league to play. But I agree that Bowers is a plus because it's not just him; it's an actual offensive threat. And that the game script had also gone against them. When they're down by 40, they don't play up. Right. So I feel like there's some external circumstances there. And additionally, I have to ride him. The dude's like, as much as I view him a lot as like Bijan year 1, year 2, where he's just infinitely talented and the team won't play him correctly. Like they don't get him the ball as many times as they should. They don't get him in space. They try to make him run through the tackles, and now look at Bijan. And so I have to ride with him. He's probably top 5 most talented running backs in the league, maybe top 10 if you want to be conservative. And I think I heard that as much as I think I tried to shop him around a bit to see if I could get a good deal, but at this point, with the trade that I made, I think I'm going to keep him. Plus, I think Pete Carroll said something about using him more. But
Nice.
I'm riding with him. I think he's locked in at my team now.
All right, Ashton Janty is the ride for no lineup needed. Let's go to.
Well, this is anticlimactic because I think Sotie answered because it's funny he picked up. It's Odunze that I put as his ride or die, and you could hear the frustration from Sotie, and he certainly is.
Yeah.
Because he started the season, like gangbusters. The first 4 games were like unbelievable, and then the last 4, other than the Baltimore game, we had 7 receptions. But like I was saying, the worst defense in the league, and you get 0.
Yeah.
That cannot happen. And, Kyle already answered it. He said it's his die. In fact, he's not in his lineup. He's proven me right, and that's what I listed him as. You can't ride him into the playoffs.
No. Kyle, have you had any changes of heart over the last 20 minutes about Rome Oduns?
No, if anything, I've probably become more sour towards him. Kind of like of less just hearing everyone talk about him because I'm glad that everyone else is realizing how stupid it is. But I have to log off. But real quick, this week, me and Rifle, love the Rifle. Used to bring us to Rock Cat games. Respect the guy. But if I lose to a 2 tight end team, I will. I will perform you. So, Sotie, signing off. You guys are great. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, Sotie.
All right, Kyle, take care. Well done. Good stuff.
All right, I think we're to you.
To
if
me,
I'm not
Knuckleheads
mistaken.
ride or die. What do we got
So
going
you
on
had
here?
you had a few candidates, but I thought the interesting one, and you already made the move to Darnold this week, but I picked Baker Mayfield,
All right, Baker Mayfield, ride
11th
or
ranked, quarterback.
die. Mm-hmm.
You look at the game log. The last game was a stinker. Game before against Detroit, not awesome.
Yeah.
And then then he's his 20s, 30s. He had 4 points. Now there's a lot to be said. The injuries to the receivers, I'm
Right.
sure, have been very limiting, but they're coming off a bye. I think some of the schedule is middle of the road. There's some easy. There's some tougher games in there. So and then I said again, looking at the team. Are you really trusting Sam Darnold? I mean, the numbers are there.
Yeah, it's a story of 2 seasons. Baker Mayfield looked like an MVP candidate in the first 5 weeks of the
Right.
season, and he's tailed off. Sam Darnold came out of the gate, and he's started to put up what some are calling MVP numbers now. So
I mean, they really are.
it's going to be matchup dependent, I think, for me. I'm not sure what I'm really doing right now. I don't even know what I'm doing for this coming weekend.
And that's the way I took it. So I put Mayfield as die because it's matchup dependent. If you're not putting him in every week,
Right.
then he can't be your ride. Your ride's got to be a guy. It's in there. And I think Darnold has had strong enough numbers over the last few weeks, although he had a 10 against Houston, but very tough D.
Yeah.
But you can't trust Darnold either. So Mayfield will be in there on a certain game.
Yeah, it'll be. We're week to week on the quarterback position.
Right. 2 weeks from now, it may be Mayfield is your ride. Because, there's no one alive that trusts Sam Darnold. I don't think the Seahawks do.
At some point, he's going to turn into Sam Darnold is what the thought would be.
Yeah, and I like the guy, and I hope it doesn't happen. Love to see him get over that hump.
Absolutely.
So this is also somewhat anticlimactic. We're talking about the Soaring Eagles. You brought up DK Metcalf. Is he a ride or die? Again, on his team, Metcalf is, he's probably his number 2 for the most part. So, and if you look at his position rank, 24th for your number 2 receiver, not awesome. But the really concerning part is, so 5 games, 3 of them pretty amazing at 25, 20, basically 17. But Indy, 2.6, and then the Cincinnati one, that's a puzzler, 8 points against them.
Right.
So he's another one of these guys. He's up and down. It's just, I don't know if you can truly trust him. But then I think this comes back to real world. If I had a better number 2, I would say he's my die. But for the Eagles, I think he's been in there. They're winning. He's probably his best option.
Yeah.
He's a ride for the Eagles, in my opinion.
He's getting picked up in that offense, Soaring Eagles offense, by Devontae Adams, who's a resurgent right now. So
amazing.
I think if you're Soaring, I don't know that I think they'd be pretty reluctant to remove DK Metcalf from that line.
If it's working,
keep going.
Why mess with it, right?
Yep, ride that right into the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, what is he? 9-0?
9-0.
9-0 team.
9-0.
So this is an interesting one. This one you would think would be a no-brainer. It's Rico Dowell. In a short amount of time, has moved himself as the 9th ranked running back.
He is indispensable.
In short work.
It's crazy.
So you would say, okay, this is a ride, no problem. And and I would say, other than the Buffalo 5.4, these numbers are off the charts for him. But let's remind ourselves, it's Rico Dowell.
Yep.
The Cowboys didn't think enough of him to keep him on their team. They went and signed Javonte Williams.
It's a Sam Darnold situation.
It's the same Darnold. And he also's had a history of getting dinged up.
He's questionable
this week.
Yeah.
So to me, those get you a little nervous if I'm Huey. Maybe not him. He's got ice in his veins. And then, he's got Taylor. He's got Henry. I almost picked Henry as the guy, but, I think it's Derrick Henry. So, maybe it's a little easier. But Rico's not a marquee guy, so I think it makes the conversation, he's in that conversation. I look at his lineup and with his team, I'm not riding Rico Dowell. I know he's hot, but I can't say I ride him. I don't trust him.
It could be week to week. Huey's got that ability. He's got the ability to do whatever he wants now. So,
exactly. Yeah. And that guy is making every right call on every lineup move. So I think, again, Huey's going to move him in and out as seen. So again, if you're moving a guy in and out, how can he be your ride?
Right.
That's the way I view it.
I agree. Ty, what do you think? Is Rico Dowdle a must start, or is he someone that you can be matchup dependent with? Christian, I'll go to you. Rico Dowdle, every week ride or matchup dependent?
I feel like you got to ride him right now. Dude put up like almost 200 yards in 3 straight games on the ground. I don't know. I feel like that's impossible to ignore, especially now that Chuba Hubbard's back and they're putting him on the bench.
Yeah, that was
at least
vote of confidence.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, we have lost Ty on the line, so we've got no lineup needed still on the line, and that was ride or die. Excellent segment, Walt. Good insight on these players. We'll see how it goes going forward. I cannot do a segment like that because that's just a opposite for the sports books that just go put your money exactly where Kamish does not tell you to. All right, let's take a quick look at the standings. We're just going to briefly mention them. I'm not going to put them on the screen. We've mentioned it a bunch already. Huey Lewis in the News, 9-0. Soaring Eagles and Knuckleheads, 6-3. Sotie Pantloads sits alone at 5-4. And then we've got a bunch of 4 and 5 teams. No lineup needed leads that pack based on points for. Then Boston Beans, Whopper Moppers, and Born to Run, all jockeying for position, 4 wins with 5 games left. Worst team ever at 2 and 7. Love the confidence. They say that they're going to run the table and get back. We're rooting for them. Springfield Rifle, 1 win. Just doesn't seem as though 5 weeks left, even if they win out. I think that they'll be on the outside looking in for playoffs this year. Tough luck for Springfield Rifle, but keep playing that role. It's spoiler train time for Springfield Rifle. All right, well, let's talk about Week 10. We can openly say playoff ramifications, playoff implications. They're all over the place. What game do you want to start with?
Let's start with mine because, these are 2 4 and 5 teams.
Yep. These games are so important.
This
Boston
game is
Beans.
really important.
Beans and Born to Run, both at 4 and 5. Tell me what you're thinking as you head into this matchup with the Beans.
So I look at projections and some I scoff at. I really struggle to see Travis Etienne getting 12, almost 13 points against Houston's defense. Houston defense is flat out tough. I have no faith in Jacksonville's offense at all. So I like that. To me, that's looking good. Tampa, the Patriots in Tampa, Diggs, 14. I don't know if I buy in that either. So, I look at it's probably going to come down to Monday night because you got 3 major players going on Monday night. Hurts, Brown, Barkley.
Yeah.
And I look at if Barkley outshines Brown and, say by more than 1 point or something, a decent amount, I really like in my chances. I do like Stafford against Frisco. I also like JSN against Arizona. I don't love Bowers against Denver. So there's another key matchup for me. If Bowers ends up getting more like 20, 25, I like what that'll do for me as well.
Sure.
The Lions got, but I didn't pick a kicker up yet.
Right.
So if you had a kicker, this probably is like,
yeah, we're pretty even.
It's pretty even.
It's pretty
That's
close.
the way I look at the matchup.
Yep.
I think, so tonight, like I said, Bowers gets 30. I don't know if that's happening against Denver. I'll feel a lot better about it.
Yeah.
And the wild card, I'll end there, is Jamison Williams. I think, and I heard it, and I didn't play him, but, I heard after the bye they were talking about getting him more involved into the offense. He got a touchdown.
Yeah.
Washington's defense is horrendous. I mean, they got him at 12. Let's say he gets me like 20. Again, I think I would feel a lot better about that.
All right. The 2 4 and 5 teams.
It's going to be a
all
battle,
of these
though.
4 and 5 teams want this win. You want to get that 5th win
that's
so bad.
So bad.
All right.
4 and 6. Not much margin left for
right,
it.
with 4 games left.
Yeah.
That's brutal. That's brutal. What's next?
The other marquee game, we got worst team ever. Who would think this was an important game against the Moppers? But it is.
It is. Worst team ever. Comes into the game with Whopper Moppers. Just picked up their 2nd win. They say that they are going to go hard into playoff run. It all starts in Week 10. Tell me about the game.
Well, I think the big one is, who are the Moppers picking up for quarterback?
I know. What a bad situation.
Talk about a tough decision. Because, you're looking at, I don't know if Purdy's going to go, and maybe Purdy's the guy if he, is healthy. But if not, I think you're down to Penix Jr., Mariota, or Brissett.
Yeah.
That's your choices.
Yeah.
Your season on the line, potentially. And that's what you're choosing from.
Yeah.
So,
that's rough.
I feel for him. That's really tough. And the other bad news, is Cook. I mean, he'll probably play, but if he's limited,
I think he was limited today for a Thursday practice. That could be just to get him healthy enough to play against Miami, but I don't know.
I don't either. And then I'd look at the other side. London against Indy. Love that matchup. Anytime I see you put a New York Giant in the lineup, I wonder how well that's going to go for you, but it's against Chicago. So Wendell Robinson, I don't know if the yards will be there, but I feel the receptions will be there.
I think he'll get receptions too, but the flip side of that coin for this is Caleb Williams is playing the Giants D, And so worst team ever must be ecstatic at this. Caleb Williams is hot. They are feasting on terrible defenses. Chicago beat up on Baltimore. They beat up on Cincy. And now they got the Giants coming to town.
Exactly. And the good part for worst team ever, basically everyone on their bench is on the bye or hurt. So it makes the lineup choices really easy. He can't kick himself. But I think worst team ever beats the Moppers.
Christian, Whopper Moppers at 4-5. Worst team ever at 2-7. Who takes this one this week?
I'm liking worst team ever this week. I think Nico's projection feels a bit high considering how inconsistent he's been, and quarterback is a big question mark. James Cook, I think, popped up on the injury report and didn't practice yesterday. Plus, it's very tough at quarterback. I'm sure like Jacoby Brissett, I actually kind of like Jacoby Brissett. Tough matchup. But the dude looks like the real deal, and I'm happy he's getting a good shot. But
Yeah,
it's
that
tough
offense is
on
good for him.
Yep.
the Whoppers. And then on worst team ever, you don't really have you don't have anything to do. I mean, Mark Andrews is touchdown dependent, it seems.
Yeah.
But the rest of the team seems pretty locked in, and you got to hope for David Montgomery, a big game from him.
Yeah. I like it.
I do too.
Go ahead, Christian.
Yeah, no, I'm liking worst team ever.
Yeah, worst team ever's got they've got the potential for a big week. So we'll see.
That glimmer of hope will burn brighter, I think,
It
after
certainly
this
will.
week.
It certainly will. And Whopper Moppers, if they lose 6 straight, we talked about it already. Yeesh.
He better show up on the pod next week. 'Cause he's got a lot of explaining to do.
He's got to change his luck, right? He called in earlier.
I know.
He was on 4-0. He goes radio silent. He loses 5
Hey,
straight.
the man's in love, And
Bring her on.
Bring her on.
Bring her on. It's fine. It's fine. There's plenty of room in the studio. Come on in. All right, where are we going now?
The rifle and the pantloads.
Rifle and Sotie Pantloads in week 10. Right now, projections have a 56% win percentage for Sotie. They're the losers of 2 straight. They need to right the ship. Rifle have lost 4 in a row. Walt, who takes this game?
So I will say this. I think the pantloads need to be careful of the matchups are kind of nice, I feel, for the rifle. I'd really like Goff against Washington. I think and I like Samuel against Detroit as much as, I don't know if, again, going back to our previous segment, and Jacobs against Philly, I think he's going to get a lot of touches because, to me, that's their path to victory is, run effectively against Philadelphia. Of course, Philly just made a bunch of trades to bolster their defense.
Sure.
So they're going to be better. But again, you got May against Tampa. That's a tougher matchup. I think Bijan against Indy is a nice matchup. Sutton against Vegas, McBride against Seattle, though. Look at that projection, 17. Seattle's defense giving them 17.
Yeah, that's tough.
To Jacoby Brissett-led offense. And nothing against them. He looked good.
Yeah.
But this ain't Dallas. This is Seattle. So Devontae Smith could be the wild cards. So I think Sotie will win. I think it's going to be a lot closer than the projection.
Closer than you would think. Christian, Sotie Pantloads taking on Springfield Rifle. Who takes it?
I'm not exactly a fan of players that the Rifle has in, but the matchups are nice. And, that Garrett Wilson's still coming back. He might be slow in, especially because they have no defense anymore. I'm going to go with the Rifle. I think there could be a little upset city here.
Yeah.
Just because some of these matchups are so good on his side. Obviously, player quality I think is a bit better on Sotie, but
some juiciness going on with those matchups.
That's I think it'll be close.
I have to wonder, will the Jets, Christian brings up a great point that Garrett Wilson could very well be running deep routes and mid routes just because it's a shootout every game now because they gutted their defense. But is there something to, I guess my question would be, do the Jets want to play right now? Their ownership just put the white flag as high in the air as you can.
Right.
Does the effect on the locker room, are these guys just going to go out and say, well, if we're playing for the number 1 pick, let's get it?
I think they'll play hard. because a couple of these guys, you think Justin Fields, like he's fighting for a job in the NFL.
Yes.
So
Yeah, that's a good point.
I think that's the way I look at it. Is you got a couple of guys like that. Is Brees Hall up for a contract renewal? I think he is, right?
This is a contract year for Brees Hall. I thought for sure Brees Hall
They were
was
gonna
packing
move
his
him.
bags.
Yep.
Yep.
So I think that's what it comes to me for me is that these guys got something to play for, and that the offense will be decent. I think. Well, as decent as the Jets could be. I mean, it is the Jets.
It is
It's
the Jets. Yeah, what a mess.
Yeah, 100%.
What a mess. All right, where are we going next?
Let's save you and Christian to the end. Let's talk about the marquee matchup with the
This is a good
win
one.
probability even.
This is a heavyweight matchup
It
with
is.
Soaring Eagles taking on Huey Lewis in the News. This should be a good one. Right, it's early right now. It's basically 50-50. Huey Lewis is on a 9-game winning streak, but no, don't sleep on Soren with a 4-game winning streak. Walt, who takes this heavyweight fight?
This is going to be quite the battle. But if I look at matchups, let's just go Allen and Herbert down the line. Allen, Miami, Herbert, they give the check mark to Allen. I agree with that. Gibbs against Washington, love that all day long. Metcalf against the Chargers, But Devontae Adams, I think, against San Francisco is going to has another good week. Gadsden against Pitt. Pitt's tough, but I think that opens up room for the tight end.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually think he'll overproduce from the projection. I hate seeing that DJ Moore because that could be a 0.
Which DJ Moore are you going to get?
But it's against the Giants, so you think you got a better chance of the good DJ Moore.
Yep.
And on the other side, Quentin Johnson and Herbert against Pittsburgh, I don't love that at all. Kincaid, I don't know. He could easily put a 0 up versus the 9 points.
Yeah.
That Jonathan Taylor, though, that might be the saving grace. Against Atlanta, I see a big night for Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
But I'm going to give it to the Eagles. I think the matchup's there. I like who he's got in his lineup other than DJ Moore. But overall, I think this is the win for the Eagles.
Christian, 2 teams on pretty hefty winning streaks. Whose streak comes to an end?
I'm liking the Eagles, so I think Huey's might come to an end. I think just Jonathan Taylor. It's dependent on like the Atlanta defense that shows up. Like they did pretty well at home, but they've been pretty weak on the road, so that could be who shows up there. And Justin Jefferson, this Baltimore D, it's been horrible, but I think this is like the first week Baltimore's had no one not limited or out at practice.
That's right.
They have a full defense back, and they just got this boost with Lamar. I think this could be one of those ones where like they just turn it on because this team needs to win. And so I feel like Justin Jefferson might be a bit high, especially with how mid he has played this season.
Mm-hmm.
Not his fault. He had horrible quarterbacks.
Right.
But I'm liking Soren this week.
All right. I have to agree. And the thing that really catches my eye when I look at these 2 teams, first, I love Jahmyr Gibbs against Washington. Let's get that out of the way. But the Buccaneers D starting against New England, I want nothing to do with this New England team right now in terms of opposing any of them. And that could be negative points. And in a game that's this tight, you get a -1 from your defense, and that could be the game.
Yep.
And I really see the potential. The Buccaneers are struggling. They're banged up a little bit. We're hoping that Baker can turn it around, but his top weapons, except for Igbuka, he doesn't have a lot. Tez Johnson and Cade Otton. I mean, there's only so much you're going to be able to do. New England's looked good defensively and offensively. They're 7-2. So that, to me, is the Achilles heel right now for Huey Lewis in the News. I could see this being a 1 or 2 point game, and the defense getting a poor performance could sink Huey for the first time this season.
Yeah, or Dowell, when it's questionable and he's got to swap out Dowell, that's a pretty high projection. And, so that's the other question mark. So I agree. It could come down to defenses.
Yeah, it's a scary matchup. Koos is on the chat again. and he's smart. He's using what we've said about the show and the segments that we do. So he's asking, Walt, do you like any of my guys going into this week? Knowing full well that if we mention someone that we like.
So, right. So I'm going to use that. I think do I like any of his guys? Yes. I love your kicker. He looks tremendous against Pittsburgh. Actually, he'll probably do all right against Pittsburgh. I can see a lot of field goals. So I'm going to lose because he gets 20 points. That would not shock me.
Gamesmanship by the Beans. I love it.
Nice work, Beans.
Well done. Well done. All right. And that leaves
It's a big game.
Just the one game. No lineup needed. Taking on the Knuckleheads. Going to be a lot of fun. Walt, tell me about this game.
So, I think there's a couple concerns on your side. Now, St. Brown against Washington, chef's kiss.
Mm-hmm.
You got to love that.
Yes.
Darnold against Arizona. Arizona's D. But again, they added extra weapons, JSN. Darnold, even though the matchup's not, he's going to still be at 20 points in my mind.
Yeah.
And Tyrone Tracy, I mean, this is the real litmus test. You're playing the Bears. They're horrible. If he doesn't get to what's projected, I don't like your chances because, I mean, you got to get that 12 out of him. If you don't get that 12 out of him, I don't know. That's really concerning. And if you look on the other side, what I think Christian's got to love, I think Lamar is going to pour it on.
Uh-huh.
I see he's got 26. I could see him with 30. But then on the flip side, right, Ibuka, if they put Christian Gonzalez on him because there's no other receivers, is he going to get 16?
That matchup scares me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, as no lineup there, that's a little concerning. And, Genti, they got 14. Maybe he gets 4. Right. So there's a couple, I guess question marks for no lineup. But I use the same philosophy I always use. If you have a giant in your lineup, I don't see how you can win. So I'm going to give it to no lineup.
All right. I think that no lineup needed is going to get at least 50 points combined from Lamar Jackson and Christian McCaffrey just coming out of the gate. Yeah. And so that worries me. My running backs are not just Band-Aids. There's some duct tape and some prayer in that also. And I see the advantage running back wise as just being too much to overcome. I'm rooting for me, but there's a reason why there's such a disparity. I mean, no lineup needed is not a small favorite here. Mm-hmm. And that's, I just see it playing out that way. Christian, what do you think? Me and you this week, right now it's projected 138 to 121 in your favor. You see anything that would dissuade you from believing that?
Genti tonight, I hate it. I am praying that he gets 14. If he gets 14, I am so happy.
Yep.
Just because the Denver defense is so tough. They're playing at Denver. I'm hoping Brock Bowers opens something up. Maybe he gets a touchdown, some small yard stuff. So that's the one thing that scares me. On the other side, though, New England has been historically good, but then Drake London put up 150 yards on him last night or last week.
Last week, yeah.
And so I don't know if Christian Gonzalez was out and he's coming back this week or he just didn't shadow. But that kind of gives me some legs with Egbuka, is that if he can do it, Baker is a much better quarterback and gunslinger than Michael Penix, or who I don't think Kirk Cousins played. So I actually think the Egbuka matchup is not as bad as long as Christian Gonzalez is not shadowing him.
Yeah,
other than that, I think my team is pretty mid, outside of Lamar Jackson, who I think will toss the Minnesota defense.
I agree.
I think it's a good matchup. I think it's more 50-50 than it lets on. Obviously, it's only 6%, but I can see it being a bit closer, especially after tonight. We'll see how it goes.
I know who I'm rooting for tonight, but I don't know if it's going to make much of a difference. It should be a good game. It's going to be a lot of fun, so looking forward to that one. That is week 10 in the books.
That's it.
We've covered the recent activity. We've covered week 9's history, week 10's preview. We saw Born to Run's Ride or Die. What a fun segment that was. Thanks for putting that together. I think everyone's going to enjoy that. And we head in 5 games left.
It's hard to believe. It feels like yesterday the season just started, and now we're in the playoff push.
I agree. It's a lot. Christian, as we head into 5 games left, a lot of teams jockeying for position. A lot of fun barf ahead of us. Any topic, anything that you see fantasy football wise that you think could affect or could throw people into chaos heading into the last part of the season? All those 4 and 5 teams, is there anything that you see that where anyone really has an advantage over the others?
Well, I guess, not to talk myself, but I think, trouncing everyone in that division in points for. So I feel pretty good. Even like if I get a loss here or there, or and stuff like that, I'm still think as long as my team, the wheels don't fall off and injuries don't plague me, my team is still going to be near the top of the league for points for. But hey, Brock Bowers coming back is a pretty big catalyst for Born to Run. Like that, JSN and Brock Bowers might be like an auto 60 points or 50 points a week. And so that's a scary thing when you have Saquon coming back. And, so I don't want to say anything, but that does leave me a bit scared of the 4 and 5 teams.
All right. Yeah, that's a really good point.
Other than on the downside for me, I dug myself a hole for points for. So so that's like a half game advantage to the other 4 and 5 teams.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
But,
I agree.
You can make that up. There's 5 games.
Yeah.
I can easily make that up. So
absolutely.
If I'm scoring.
All right, we'll take one last look at the chat. We got nothing going on. We have covered everything. That is the show for tonight. It's in the books. Week 10 is ahead of us. Good luck to all.
Good luck, everyone.
Ooh, here we go.